What up, folks? I am Ultrazilla, and today I have a review of the SUPER7 Ultimates Godzilla Minus One. There, look at me. Hello! That's my zillions. It is time to review a big ol' chunk of a figure. Very simple back. For a Godzilla Minus One from the SUPER7 Ultimates line. My box is a little messed up, I think. I don't know. Yeah. Why is it messed up? I didn't even notice it was messed up when I unboxed this. Maybe I messed it up when I unboxed it. I will admit that. Also, when I unboxed it, and I did get mine at Entertainment Earth, and so can you. Clicking the link down below helps support the channel when you do so. Anywho, when I unboxed this, I was a little disappointed in what I saw, and I put it back pretty quickly. And that is because I could see, right away that the eyes were messed up on mine. I have not, however, taken this figure out of this box since. I mean, I didn't even take it out of the box then. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to checking it out in full like we always do here on the channel, giving it a fair shake, seeing how much it makes me like it or dislike it. And a disclaimer here, and for those in the back, for those that are new with the channel, let me just explain how I work here. I only review figures that are in hand. Your figure and how your figure came out has nothing to do with the way my figure came out. If your figure is awesome, I am so happy for you, honestly. If your figure is terrible, I feel really, really bad. I do, and that's across the board from any line that we do. However, I can only review my figure. I can only review my figure, I'm not going to talk for your figure. I'm not going to talk for an entire production line because there's so many results that can happen in a production line. So whether my review for this figure is good or bad, it doesn't reflect your figure, now does it? And it doesn't reflect the entire production line. So I can give you my honest take on this, and that's all I can do. So without any further ado, let's get to the review. And here is a Godzilla Minus One out of the package. And I gotta tell you guys, I got a lot of mixed feelings about this one. There's something really, really fun about handling this. And that's kind of par for the course, at least for me, and definitely since the beginning with the SUPER7 line. I like how they feel. I like playing around with them. I was not shy about defending the toyetic nature of the original Godzilla 89. I think they've done better since then, but I still like that figure. There's something about their plastic quality that I just like. And this isn't just, from the Godzilla line. This is from doing some Power Rangers stuff, doing some Transformers stuff from them, and other stuff. Voltron on the other side, right here where you see it. But that Voltron wasn't that good. Sorry guys, proportions were way off. But anyway, and I'm a huge Voltron fan, obviously. Yeah, this guy, he's got that quality, like that fun to play with quality. I like that. There's something, really good about the plastic that I like. It feels good in hand. Not like the SH Monster Arts. Like you guys know, I have a love affair with the SH Monster Arts plastic quality. That is true. But there's something about SUPER7s that I like on a different level. I do dig it. Sometimes the feel of a figure, and all the times the feel of a figure is one of the most important parts for me. But I say this a lot. It's why I loved that first higher release in their Exquisite Basic line and called it my figure of the year when it came out. And subsequently, that line hasn't done it for me plastic quality wise as much for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something about this. It's a heavy figure. It's sturdy. One thing to note, the tail might have been one of the hardest tails to keep in, because I should have I couldn't have showed this because I didn't know it was gonna have problems, but like the inside, the socket was kind of like getting eaten up by trying to put it in. I'm glad I was able to, get it in and, keep it in there. But yeah, I could see some folks having problems with that. And that was a little bit scary at first. I thought it was gonna just break it. But it went in. Heat is my friend. But yeah, there's a quality about this that I do enjoy, and I have been enjoying handling, the last few days since I finally opened it up. But, there's things about it that I don't love. First up, price point of this figure is still the same, but there's only one accessory now. This is not a bigger figure than any of the other figures. This is the same thing. We saw with Mogera too. Less things that come with it. But then you got like Space Godzilla, which had a bunch of stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, we do have an extra head, and that is the only accessory on this figure. And it is the roaring head. And it's all right. Both the heads could be better. Like the eyes, and if again, this is one of the big things, are a little off on mine. This one, it's off, but it's not like egregiously off. Like the regular head, unfortunately, one eye is very wayward. So that is a bummer. But this one's not so bad. I think the sculpt is really nice. The paint, other than the eyes, and again, not the worst, aren't bad. The teeth look good. The tongue looks good. And then it falls out of my hand, of course. The paint all around here is pretty good. It's like really two-toned, this figure. You got this like wash over everything. It's kind of like brownish, bronzish maybe look to it. A little rustic, a little rusty over the very, very dark. And man, people were going crazy about the SH Monster Arts being dark. And this turned out way darker on the underneath. To really bring out this kind of paint over it. But the sculpt is pretty decent on this head. You do get lost the little, splotch that's supposed to be more prominent on this cheek, the like rehealed face. It's not really picked out at all. Maybe it's before he gets, destroyed. But anywho, this is the alternate head. And, we could put it on him, because I prefer this head anyway. A little more, okay. Very, very tight. Let's get this guy in. Tight. All right, we're good. Let's look at this head now, because, oh boy. This eye is all kinds of, where is it going? It's looking down. Is it looking to the side? Is it doing a little bit of both? Yeah, unfortunately this eye turned out good on this side. This eye did not. I mean, look, even if you look at it from the side, you can see it's just kind of off. It's looking down a little bit. But, one of my old things that I used to always say here is, well, if you turn it from one side, you can only see one side, right? On your shelf, which still holds true. The rest of the head is pretty good. Again, teeth are painted well. Everything's painted well, except, again, they didn't really do anything to this side to make it feel like it's supposed to be different. Maybe they didn't have the files for that, but overall, I think the sculpt is very good on this head. It's just this eye, and it was this eye that my eyes went to right away as soon as I opened the package, and it was like, man, that's so disappointing, because I haven't really had too many eye problems with the line, and this was a bad one to start because I really wanted this one to be awesome. But yeah, that eye is a bit messed up, guys. So I guess for me, this will be the head of choice because it's not bad. It's not perfect either. If you look at it head on, it's not perfect either, but it works a lot better. So, you know, I'm good with that. Now, the other thing, again, to talk about is, you know, this is pretty dark. And it's not like what was shown originally. You know, is that an issue if it comes out good? You know, your mileage is gonna vary, of course. I don't hate it, but I am like, it's like really dark. Like, we're gonna look at the SH Monster Arts with it later, and this is like way darker of a plastic underneath a dark gray plastic. It's almost black. But overall, I mean, the sculpt is phenomenal. Like, there's no doubt about it. It looks great. We saw the head. The neck looks pretty good. You know, there are seam lines that run around this guy, and that's pretty much par for the course for this line. It's just like, you know, seam lines around all over the place. I mean, you saw it, like, if you notice, like, right down the center there. It is what it is. It is there. Do I wish it wasn't there? Yes, I do wish it wasn't there, but it is there. You know, it's a toy. Some toys are gonna have seams. And, you know, like, man, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I wish I had the answers for you, but sometimes you can't avoid them. These seams are just gonna be there. But, like, could you avoid that happening? Like, it is really egregious here. You know, like, if you check that out, you know, it's like it wasn't placed properly together. So, but then this side is completely flush. So how does that happen, I want to know, you know, like on this side, where it's like sticking out like that. It is very strange. However, again, sculpt here, looks really good. The paint there looks really nice. I do like it. It looks good. I mean, I like how the colors look on the darker colors. So for me, it's like one of those things where, you know, I'm digging the way the paint looks on the dark colors, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But I do wish it was lighter because, like, I don't know. I just kind of, I liked what they showed to begin with. I like the spikes here. The arm looks good. I mean, sculpt work is pretty awesome. There's no doubt about it. Shoulder looks real good. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. Look, it's good sculpt-wise for sure. The legs are awesome. Big, chunky legs. It's got the proportions right, by the way. Like, really well done there. You know, it's got some paint on it. It's not, like, super, like, you know, heavy on the paint on the legs, but it's there and you can see it, which is good. The lower legs as well. The feet have a lot of it. You can tell. It looks pretty good. I like how the feet look. All these little scooties going on down here look real nice. Pretty awesome. Bottom of feet are all sculpted out. Back of the tail is sculpted. The tail looks really good. Very nicely done. The dorsals are pretty awesome. There is some heavy-handedness, though, on the paint around the dorsals. Like, over here is very heavy. Over here as well. Don't really like how that turned out. Same thing kind of on the other side. A little less so over here, but man, look at that. That doesn't look good. The way that's done. It's just like blopped on and it just stops. It's like not even like fully done on that one. It looks pretty bad, honestly. But again, dorsals, awesome. Very nicely done. Beautiful sculpt. And actually, you know, except for the like lower spikes here, the paint on the dorsals looks like it turned out pretty well. You know, I think that looks great, honestly. All the way down to the tail. So, yeah, it's pretty good. This section here is decent. I do have this, like, kind of gap over here, and you see inside there, it's, like, very smooth. So that's annoying. The gap is there on this side, but it's less so, and all you see is darkness, and I'm kind of fine with that. But when you see enough of a gap, when there's enough of a gap to, kind of see the shininess on the inside, that's a bit of a problem. Now, speaking of shininess, this guy is a little bit glossier than some of the other releases we've had, like, recently, but I don't think it's, like, as glossy as the original releases. So I don't think a lot of folks are gonna hate on this that much in those terms, or have they already? I'm not 100% sure. But it's not a problem for me. Like, that part of it has never been a problem for me. But because again, I kind of like, you know, these companies to have their own flavor sometimes. So yeah, the glossiness on this guy isn't that bad. Again, we're gonna see the G89 really soon now, and yeah, it's not as glossy as that. So, and there's enough paint on top of it to make it feel like both glossy and matte. So, in those terms, you know, a little bit of best of both worlds isn't the worst thing. So I don't know. Again, I am like having mixed feelings about this guy. Just things that are about it. I mean, for me, if the eyes were perfect on both heads, I would have been really, really happy. It's a matter of like, well, you know what? And this is funny because one of the big complaints is, and we're going to get to articulation in a second too, that the jaws aren't articulated on these guys. And at this point, come on, guys, just make a head with an articulated jaw. However, I do at least appreciate that one of my two heads, you know, that one, the one that's on now, isn't so bad in terms of eyes. Like, it would have sucked if I had an articulated jaw and, like, had the bad eyes. You know what I'm saying? So, it's one of those things where, you know, you gotta pick and choose your battles. Bad eyes are going to happen. We've seen it across all lines. It's just par for the course when it comes to toys. It's just unfortunate sometimes when they happen on, like, things you really don't want them to happen at, like, an $85 figure. You know, like, hey, you know, let's curb that. But I've unfortunately I've had that happen on even more expensive figures. So it is not good when it happens, and it's never fun. And you know what? Like I keep saying, like I've always said, your mileage is going to vary because, hey, we're all going to get different figures. Like, I saw one of these figures in Midtown Comics, and it was the opposite. Like, the regular head had good eyes, and the open mouth head did not. So, I mean, it's going to be different across the board sometimes, and, you know, to each their own. Some people have more tolerance towards that. The eyes are one of those things that, for me personally, are, like, the most important part. Like, I could let a lot of things go, usually. If the eyes are good, it makes me happy. And, like, at least I could look at the figure and it looks back at me, and all is good. So, this one, unfortunately, yeah, it's a mixed bag when it comes to that part of it. But there's a lot of things to like about the figure, though. He's pretty solid. He's pretty solid. I really like the sculpt, and I liked handling it. So I don't know. All right, so that articulation. First up, you saw the head was on that ball joint, and it moves rather well. The neck joint moves rather well too. So this is making up for a lot of stuff for me. Because one of the parts of the feel that I like is that articulation. I like it a lot. I love how the upper body moves, and I liked how that neck moves. Then the shoulders have a hinge. It's a little tight that way, but, you know, back and forth is pretty good. You have the swivel at the bicep. You have a single jointed elbow with a hinge there, and then the hands are on hinges as well. A little tight, but they are hinged. You know, I think you just gotta have that sweet spot. Or, nah, maybe some heat on those. I'm not gonna go crazy and tempt the fates there. And the legs, like so. You do have that big gap, so you can get some decent movement. The knees, not a ton of movement there, but you do get some, and they can rotate. And then the same thing at the ankles. Rotation, rocker, all that is pretty good. The tail has one big joint that I'm not gonna turn too much. It can go back and forth pretty good, up and down, wiggles, waggles, all of that. So a bunch of different joints here. Is it good enough? Yeah, it's good enough, I think. Is it supremely good? No, but it's good enough. I think it's pretty good. It's probably the best articulated tail of this line. So that is pretty good. I like the articulation on this guy. I think it works out rather well. And for your size comparisons, first up here it is with that first Godzilla. And man, I mean, look, this is like night and day. And I like this figure. You know, I still like this figure. But it is night and day as far as where they've come from since then. You know what I'm saying? Like this, yeah. I mean, look, I could get why a lot of people hated on the gloss and the plastic quality. Not the plastic quality, it's because it's sturdy. But the way the plastic looks, it like ends up being kind of almost like a soft sculpt, where this one, there's no way you can complain about any of that. Like that is, there's gloss to this, but it is not on this level. And I think when you see them together, you're like, wow. I mean, come on. Like, so yeah, you really can't complain about that in those terms. That said, though, it isn't quite on the level of the supreme matteness of Space Godzilla, who probably is the most matte figure in the line. And it is pretty awesome. Like, I really like Space Godzilla. I mean, the more I've handled him, the more I really dig this figure. Even with that. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could see that this is glossier than this for sure. And here's Godzilla Minus One from Super7 with a bunch of other Godzilla Minus One figures you might have in your collection, including my recently reviewed Godzilla Monster Series figure, who's nice and cute. The Godzilla action figure, it's alright. The bootleg SH Monster Arts, we're not going to really compare that one. The metallic movie Monster Series figure, and I did finally see the regular version of this. I actually hadn't seen it. I didn't pick it up, so at Kinokuniya, and it is really one of the better Godzilla Minus One figures out there. Honestly, it has to be. It looks fantastic. Kinokuniya had a ton of them. If you're looking for them, do visit them to get it. And the Bam Presto, which wasn't a bad figure at all. But here we have it, the two big Godzilla Minus One figures in the articulated realm of figure collecting. And that's the SH Monster Arts with the Super7 here. And hey, look, I still really like the SH Monster Arts. I know a lot of folks have a lot of beef with that figure. Mostly on the painting front, because the sculpt is absolutely fantastic. And if you don't think sculpt is fantastic, don't talk to me. Because it is. Sculpt is just right on, man. Like, I love this figure. The paint is variable, for sure. Like, no doubt about it. But as you can see, this is a lot matter of a gray, which really, really helps this, you know, figure from looking overly too dark. And, you know, that was one of the big things that people were complaining about, was how dark the figure was. But, well, you know what? Super7 made it even darker. You do have the more prominent facial scar here, which you don't get here. But I mean, in a lot of ways, the paint on the Super7 is better, you know. I mean, I do have good eyes on this one, which helps, and hey, the articulated jaw. But, you know, yeah, the paint, it gets a little erratic, is a good word for it. And, you know, part of me feels like that's okay with how this character looks on screen. It kind of works. But yeah, I've seen better painted versions of this figure. So, you know, my figure is like somewhere in the middle. Like, I've seen worse than this too. But, you know, I still really, really like this figure. And I mean, if you're wondering in comparisons and all that, I do like the SH Monster Arts more. But I do really like this figure, I gotta say. You know, like, with this head on, it helps. It helps. You know, again, not perfect in the eyes, as you can see. This one just looks better in those terms, like, especially when you look at him this way. So, you know, I mean, look, you're definitely getting a really, as far as, you know, pound for pound, you're getting a better value getting the big guy here for sure. But you know, again, your mind's gonna vary on how you feel about the lines and what you're, you know, expect and what you like. And I know what the answer really is from collectors. I'm gonna wait for the Haya, cause Haya is my darling and they can't do no wrong. Um, Look, it is what it is. Those are the prevailing comments. Even though I've reviewed a bunch of their figures that, you know, I haven't liked, and that's not saying, you know, that I haven't liked their figures, because I've liked their figures a ton. I'm just saying, you know, none of these companies are infallible. So, you know, when they do one, we will review it and we will check it out. And maybe it will be my favorite of the three. But for now, that's not a thing. For now, between these two, I still like the SH Monster Arts. But there's things to be said about the Super 7 that are really cool too. And my final thoughts, well, you know, look. If it wasn't for the eyes, I'd probably like this. There's some splotchiness around here too. And the figure did come out a little bit darker than I would have liked, to be honest. But there's a lot to like about the figure. I like how it feels. I like the plastic quality. I like the articulation a lot. You know, this head, the open mouth head, is a lot better than this head. For me, I would have preferred the closed mouth head to be better. But unfortunately, my eyes messed up on this one. You know, I might end up using it anyway. I don't know. Because I like that head more, like, than the open mouth head. But, you know, the open mouth head has better eyes, so it's a bummer. I wish they were both good, or at least, you know, almost good. Because it's the one thing, even, again, there's some, like, weirdness with some of the paint around and the darkness. I could let that go. If the heads were good, I would have been totally, like, 100% on board with this figure. But, you know, as it stands, I like it. I don't love it. But I like it, and I like it a lot, even, because I like how it feels, and I like handling it. You know, so, it's a mixed bag, but more on the good side, which I think a lot of folks, when, you know, you saw my unboxing, might have thought the opposite, but I'm a fairly positive guy, and if there's things that I like about it, it's sometimes a figure can win me over, and, you know, I feel like this figure might still make my best of the year, because I like handling it that much. That's the thing, guys. For me, it's a huge, huge thing. So, and this is not something new. I've always been like this, and I've always said it. It's like since the very beginning, I've talked about that stuff here. So, you know, it's a thing. It's a thing, and this figure has that thing for me right now. Not perfect, but it's got that thing. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do. It's, you know, look. You take this information how you will, you know, but if you could get this figure in a store, and it is available in places, like comic shop especially, like, check it out in person, see if the eyes are good, because I feel like that is the biggest problem that I've seen all around, is the eyes, like, not being, like, good across the board. It's like, that's been like 50-50 almost. So that's the thing to look out for the most. Otherwise, solid figure, great sculpt, good articulation. So yeah, no accessories except for the extra head, and that's, you know, not the best thing either. But still, probably gonna get a repaint with the lit up dorsal fins and some beams soon. So probably do be on the lookout for that, and that might be really, really cool. So we'll see. But there you go, guys. That's my review. Hope you dug it. Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you're new to the channel, want to go ahead and sub yourself for daily content, and let me help you diversify your collection. Until next time, peace out.